What up, Big Travie?
What's going on, Whisper Nation? What's going on, Johnny Game Time Hicks? Welcome in to the Fantasy Whispers. We are talking some of our biggest trade targets today. We're going to talk cornerback wide receiver matchups, and we are going to talk, it has been a busy 48 hours for the NFL as far as news is concerned. So many things going on. OBJ, Aaron Rodgers, Sequon Barkley, just so many things that are popping off right now. We're going to get into all of that. But if you like fresh fantasy football content, you want more of it, consider subscribing right here on the YouTube channel, hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe, and joining into Whisper Nation. My name is Big Trav. You can find me on Twitter at Big Travie TFW. I'm joined by Johnny Game Time Hicks. You can find on Twitter at Johnny_Game Time. How you doing this morning, Johnny?
What up? Good morning.
Good morning.
It is, oh my goodness, dude. Waking up this morning, my phone, I thought it was my alarm. Turns out it was just a bunch of DMs and a bunch of messages, and my phone just going off nonstop because of all that craziness and all the news going on. But you got to love it. You got to love it. It's better than the off season, right? When we're trying to dig up these stories. It's mornings like this that you get excited. You really get your energy going. But we're excited to talk about not only the news, all that's going on, but also, Big Travie, a couple of guys that you might want to try to consider maybe sending out off your roster. Maybe a couple guys you might want to try to send some trade targets for. Some guys that are going to be helping you get to that championship, help you win that championship, because moving forward, they've got, stats that aren't lining up for the production they should be seeing. So, again, love this show. It's one of our favorite shows, and we're excited to bring it to Whisper Nation.
And, of course, just want to say what's up to everybody in the chat right now. Killjoy, our guy in here, saying, first one here. We've got, obviously, Darius, Darius or Slim Reaper in here, Whisper Nation Strong. We've got so many people in here. Make sure you hit that like button on your way in. Want to tell you guys about today's show being brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. It's the best and easiest place to play fantasy football for big cash prizes. They have player prop bets like over-under on touchdowns, receiving yardage, rushing totals, and more. And with all the information we give you on this show and all of our other shows, we're going to help you build the best bet slips each and every week. When you go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app now, you'll get a 100% deposit match for up to $100, Johnny, when you use the promo code TFW. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Download the app and use the promo code TFW for up to $100 in match money for your first deposit. That's TFW for $100.
It's a great deal. Right. And we love playing on Underdog. So
it's just so much
help
fun.
Support the channel. You get to win some money. It's great. It's great.
Abso-freaking-lutely. Just so you guys know, we will be getting to all of your questions, of course, like we do every week. So give us those start-sit questions. Drop them there in the chat. We will get to those. Any trade questions you have regarding some of the guys we're going to talk about, get that in the chat. But we will get to that at the end of the show as we start to work through some of these things. Now, if you're saying, I'm impatient, I can't do that, hit that super chat button, and that will get your question shot up to the top, and we will answer it immediately. So that's where we're at with that. We're going to start off with the show with a little bit of news and notes, and we're going to just start with the top with my man, the myth, the legend, Aaron Rodgers has tested positive for COVID-19 and will be out against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. Matt LaFleur reporting that Jordan Love will start, and there also been reports that veteran quarterback Blake Bortles has flown to Green Bay. He spent some time with them on the roster earlier, and they're trying to get him activated in time in case. I believe this is just like a contingency plan should anything happen to Jordan Love or him test positive or anything like that. So
popping Bortles.
Yeah.
If anything happens, you're popping Bortles.
Yeah. So, Johnny, what's your take on how this affects really the Packers offense? Aaron Jones, Davante Adams, Alan Lazard, some of those pieces.
Definitely. I mean, Devonte Adams still hasn't been activated off COVID list. You definitely want to keep that monitored. Something I'm watching closely as well. Obviously, Alan Lazard, we talked about Alan Lazard on the waiver wire show yesterday. And this is what's bad. It's like, if Devonte Adams wasn't able to be elevated off the COVID list, right, then Devonte Adams would have been Alan Lazard would have been an absolute smash start. But now we have concerns where we might not even want to play any of these guys as far as the wide receivers go, because we don't know exactly what
You're still
Jordan Love
playing.
is capable.
You're still going to
I
play
mean,
Davante Adams if
he's
goes.
in there. Yeah.
We
course,
saw even with Brent Hundley, Davante
Yeah.
Adams was still a wide receiver 1 in most of his games with Brent Hundley. So there's
Yeah.
still that. When the target tree is that narrow, for
Right.
sure, we'd go with that. But you're right. I mean, this is a downgrade. I think this would be a huge upgrade to Aaron Jones and even A.J. Dillon. I'm seeing A.J. Dillon as someone. Look, if the Packers are going to do what they did against Arizona, play ball control against Kansas City, keep away, and look, Kansas City's defense is not good. I will tell you that the line changed in this game. So initially, this game's line was 53.5, with Kansas City favored by 2.5 points. It has since moved to a 48 over/under, so the points come way down here, and also Kansas City favored by 7, sometimes 8 in other books. So obviously that's going to happen. There, Kansas City's at home. Vegas not confident in Jordan Love. A lot of people haven't been confident in Jordan Love, but I'll tell you, I told our group chat this morning, I'm excited for Jordan Love to play this Kansas City defense because it has not been good. So this is a nice first start, hopefully, for him.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see how he does in this game. We were both excited about Jordan Love coming in, and we'll see how it goes. But
I think I have Jordan Love in Scott Fishbowl.
Oh, do you? You picked him back up?
I think so.
There you go. Well,
all right. So moving on. Sorry. We have the Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski, because look, earlier today we were announced that the Browns excused OBJ from practice. Then it was announced that OBJ missed for personal reasons, non-injury related. And then Stefanski was quoted saying Andrew Berry and his representatives are continuing to talk, so Odell will not be out there. So I don't know if the Browns are really looking at something as some sort of settlement or getting him cut in some way, and then maybe he could get picked up off waiver. Something to really monitor here, Johnny, because that was a rumor that could happen at the end of this year because they didn't want to owe him, future money. That could be expedited here in this process, given what's happened in the last 24 hours. For those of you that don't know, OBJ, his father, went on social media posting a video of all the times that Baker has missed OBJ wide open, and basically saying that it was Baker's fault and he didn't want to see his son shine. This was strategically done around the same time that LeBron James tweeted out free OBJ. He's a wide receiver 1, and strategically right before the trade deadline. Well, that came and went, and no OBJ movement except for today when he is not practicing.
This is a wild situation. Obviously, keep in mind, New Orleans was rumored to have been heavily involved. We'll get on the Michael Thomas information in just a second, but there were a lot of rumors that New Orleans was trying to go after OBJ. They just couldn't make the money work. They were fearing that, this Michael today probably knew about the Michael Thomas information, obviously, before it came out. And so they were trying to acquire OBJ, couldn't make the deal work. It will be interesting to see what happens with Cleveland. They could just straight up cut him, and then we'll see where he goes. At that point, it's an excitement thing and seeing where he ends up landing. But yeah, this is so wild. Like, this is crazy that OBJ, who, I mean, we consider him probably a top 15 wide receiver, and yet continues to struggle with these teams. And, some might say, oh, can we get him a quarterback? Some might argue, well, he's had two pretty good ones. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens with this moving forward. But do you expect him to play this week, Travis?
I know. Well, we'll see. There's going to be talks this whole week, right? So it's only Wednesday. Right. He could have even had this day off if we think about it for like the shoulder thing and a maintenance day. Now, I know that's not what it is, obviously, but I'm just saying, like, it's still early in the week. A lot can happen between now and then. Maybe Baker and OBJ have a sit down and they get right. And he says, look, it's, who knows? I would say, I don't think he plays this week, and I'd be surprised if he's on the Browns roster, in the next couple weeks. I really feel like it's going the other way, and we'll see what happens. Josina Anderson reported that Beckham was ready to practice, and the team told him he was excused from attending. So then we got a report saying that he chose for non-injury related something. But we're going to see what really happened here. It's an odd situation in Cleveland. Yeah, we've got so much going on, and we've got so many people in the chat, like Mr. Miyagi, Terry Green. We are We love all you guys in here. Make sure you hit
Appreciate
that
you
like
guys.
button, hit that subscribe, and we will get to all these questions as we do towards the end of the show. We got a busy day working through these news and notes, and then some trade targets, cornerback, wide receiver matchups you can target this week for this Week 9 slate. All right, Johnny, no sign of Sequon Barkley at practice because he tested positive for COVID-19. He is going to be retested, of course, but it looks like he might be getting COVID-19. Was he going to come back this week? We don't know, but this is a big hurdle for him coming back in that case.
Austin talking about his sneaker release in a couple of days.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Obviously, you have to have 2 negative tests. I believe he's vaccinated, so 2 negative tests within a 24-hour span in order to play. We'll see if he ends up. Let's remind ourselves next week the Giants do have a bye, so it wouldn't be surprising from them management wise to hold out Saquon one more week, give him the 2 extra weeks basically of refreshing or to get better.
All right, Johnny. Another big running back and big news here. CMC designated to return from the IR, Johnny. So it looks like we're going to get CMC back this week. We were wondering if, yesterday the announcement was maybe Week 9, maybe Week 10. It seems like Matt Rule was being very coach speaky.
Maybe never.
Yeah. And it looks like our boy CMC is coming back. So good news to those that held on to CMC. Good news to those that made moves for CMC, right? Capitalized right after that IR stint because he is back when initially eligible here. So, Johnny, how are we feeling about CMC? Obviously firing him right the way up here. Do we think this means good things for Sam Darnold and, therefore DJ Moore and the rest of this offense?
I do think that that does bode well for this entire offense. They will be able to move the ball more efficiently. We know we've seen Chuba, and don't get me wrong, Chuba, he's been somewhat disappointing. But you getting a guy like CMC back is a big difference maker. A defense has to plan on stopping CMC. You don't really have to plan necessarily to stop Chuba at this point. He's not that big of a threat. So, this will build really well if they can get him back in your lineup. And you would get him back in your lineup as well.
You won't.
You won't. I will.
All right, Johnny, no Kyler Murray in the open part of the Arizona Cardinals practice this morning. No DeAndre Hopkins, no A.J. Green, and a bunch of other players we don't care about for fantasy. We're also out. How are you feeling here? This is the Wednesday maintenance day. Are you feeling like we should be alarmed? Are we making contingency plans for Kyler Murray? How are you feeling on this one?
A little bit interesting. It's so Kyler Murray will start there. Kyler Murray, we'll see how he ends up playing. There has been talk on the radio that he could end up missing this game and that they could end up going with Colt McCoy in this game as the backup and having Kyler sit out. We'll continue to monitor the situation. Very serious, obviously, because if Colt McCoy is the quarterback, it heavily downgrades a lot of these pass catchers and this offense, right? Not going to be as efficient. What is interesting, Hopkins, he normally always misses, although he did come out of that game with a hamstring, has been dealing with a hamstring. So that is a concern. But also, A.J. Green, I wanted to mention this. In that game, he looked hurt. Like he was out there playing, he was making some catches, but he looked slow. I rewatched this game as well. And he just didn't look like the normal AJ Green. What does that even look like, I guess? But I'm just saying he didn't look 100%. So this is something to monitor with AJ Green. AJ Green having a decent bounce back season. But this is some concern for as far as AJ Green goes. I'm probably the most concerned out of the 3.
So the Washington football team expects tight end Logan Thomas to return after the bye. That's good news for those of you that are looking for a tight end next week. It might be a sneaky play to pick him up this week if you can. And the Broncos, speaking of tight ends news, has placed Noah Fant on the COVID-19 reserve list. This would be kind of a big upgrade for Albert O. That might be a sneaky play to go.
Albert O, dude. You won't.
So that might be a play there, but I do think this could be an upgrade for both Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy in that game to see more targets, and even Tim Patrick as well. And then the big news to round out the news and notes section, of course, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, is our guy, Michael Thomas, is now done for the year. You hate to see it. For those of you that held on to Michael Thomas, drafted him late in drafts, stashed him on your IR for a while, he is done. Another ankle injury. He is out for the season.
This one hurt. I took him in one league because he was such a value that I was like, and I held on this whole time. I could have dropped him last week, to be honest with you. Could have dropped him in a bipocalypse. So that does extremely. That sucks. If you held on to him, we tried to encourage you unless you get him really late. It wasn't generally worth the value to hold a wide receiver like that or a player through that much injury. And now we're seeing that he had some setbacks with that ankle. So it does make sense why they were trying to go out and acquire another wide receiver. Marquez Callaway continues to potentially, he'll be the one there, but you're not 100% trusting in him. So, but big news for Michael Thomas. Do you expect him to be a Saint next year? I don't.
I would not think so. It seems like this team, depending on what kind of run they can make this year, would be looking at a big rebuild and getting into the quarterback market and seeing, I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to try and make a run for Aaron Rodgers, obviously. I think Pittsburgh's in that play now, too, for Aaron Rodgers. There's a lot of things going on there. And we'll see. A lot is going to happen, I think, based on this game against Kansas City for Green Bay. And see what could happen with the quarterback market for next year. Because if they go to Love and they like what they see, they could expedite a trade talk with Aaron Rodgers. We could definitely see that. Yeah. So Chandler, this is kind of is Callaway even worth it without Jameis? I don't know that Callaway we can trust right now, but I will tell you this: if Taysom Hill gets the start, he made Michael Thomas still a wide receiver one. Like he was still making him his number one wide receiver, so he can get it to a main guy. If they decide that's what they want to do with Callaway, go for it. We also did see that Deontay Harris kind of was a guy for Trevor Siemian. So if Siemian gets the start, that could be somebody. But we're going to need to wait and see what happens over the next couple of weeks with this quarterback situation.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Johnny, we're about to get into it now. The meat and potatoes of this show. Look, everybody's asking us for trade advice all week long. They're in our DMs saying, hey, should we trade this guy? We got to give you some nuggets here. 2 guys each. Each of us are going to give you guys that you should buy low and that you should sell high. And hopefully you're able to kind of make these deals happen. Now, I'm going to start us off here, Johnny, with Justin Jefferson as my buy low. And look, this is going to be a tough sell because you're going to have to get your salesman cap on. You're going to have to really talk to your league mates because we all know what Justin Jefferson's ceiling is. We've all seen it. And he's still, a pretty good wide receiver, I would say. To start the year, he was on fire in this year, so it's gonna be tough. In weeks 1 through 5, though, he was the wide receiver 10 in half PPR scoring. Since then, Johnny, he's been the wide receiver 57. He saw his lowest targets last week since week 9 of 2020, and then we saw in this same game against the Cowboys that he got dinged up, and he had that head-to-head matchup with Trayvon Diggs. So that could be a big reason. But if you can kind of convince your league mates that there's a downturn or the Vikings offense is not looking as great, you could look at Cousins, say, oh, Cousins is up and down. That's going to affect him. The emergence of Tyler Conklin as the third option there could be taking targets away from Jefferson. And just try to sell them on that. I think the fact of the matter is even though that Thielen is there and he's outscored him, we know that Jefferson right now is tied for 13th in targets among NFL wide receivers. I think he's a prime buy low candidate because he's going to get back up, but we have a period of 3 weeks with his bye and 2 bad games that we can actually sell Jeff or try and get our league mates to sell Jefferson right now, because I think you could go and try and capitalize on him and go get him right now.
I like that one. I was going to grab, I went in to do the show notes and I was going to put Justin Jefferson.
No, you weren't,
dude. Big Travie already had him there.
No, you weren't, dude.
I wasn't able to go with Justin Jefferson. But I do think there is an opportunity right now for people who have, to go and acquire Justin Jefferson, because there's some panic going on because you see Thielen getting the touchdowns. You see, Justin Jefferson struggling a little bit, but Justin Jefferson played against Trayvon Diggs last week. He's been shutting out. We'll talk about him in a little bit later in the show on a matchup this weekend to temper your expectations on, because he has really been doing a job on these wide receivers, and you could take advantage of that. Again, go and try to acquire him when his value's not where it was in the beginning of the season, because it should go back to that as opposed to keep down in the 50 range. Love it.
All right, Johnny, it's your turn here. So what are we thinking here as a buy low candidate for you?
We get lucky, Big Travie, every once in a while, because sometimes, we throw out names, and I'm not saying like we give advice that isn't helpful, because it is helpful, but sometimes you get lucky when there's it was like we said, we entered the twilight zone last weekend, And it just
Stepping
is a
into the
perfect
Twilight Zone.
exactly. And you know what you do when you do that? You just turn itself on its head, and then you take advantage of it. And that's what you're going to do with Justin Jefferson, one. And then that's what you could do here with my guy, DJ Moore. I'm telling you to go out and try to acquire him right now. It's going now in the beginning of the season, it would have been impossible because DJ Moore started off this season on an absolute tear. He was, had no, in his first 4 games, he didn't have any fewer than 79 receiving yards in a game. He was getting a grip of targets. He was catching touchdowns too, which was the big knock on him. Never a touchdown guy, finally getting in the end zone. Impossible to go and get him. But now, ever since then, he has been dipping. After those first 4 games, now you look at the last 4 games, Travis, he has not eclipsed 73 yards since. But during that span, you still like the metrics, and you always point to the metrics, always look at the data and say, hey, is this wide receiver underperforming, overperforming, or doing exactly what he should according to the data? And according to the data, DJ Moore is a screaming deal right now because this 4th-year stud is one of just only 3 wide receivers, Travis, this season that ranks top 6 in both percentage of his routes ran per drop back at 94% and his target share at 27%. His high-end usage has him 3rd overall in expected fantasy points this season, just behind Cooper Kupp and Tyreek Hill. I guarantee you Cooper Kupp and Tyreek Hill are damn near impossible to touch and trade targets right now. But I'm telling you, DJ Moore is definitely targetable. And people will try to get off him because you got the Sam Darnold. I don't know if he can get him the ball. Let me tell you this. In those games, despite Travis only not eclipsing 73 receiving yards, he's had 38 targets during that time. Like, that's a grip of targets that you can get behind. Like I said, those targets and those metrics should lead to more productive days moving forward for this offense. And then we talked about it, CMC coming back. That's only going to help bode well for DJ Moore as defenses try to look to take away CMC and not DJ Moore moving forward. So I love trying to go out and acquire DJ Moore and sending out offers all morning.
So I am kind of conflicted on this because I think so much of what's happening in Carolina could be attributed to CMC not being there. I also think Sam Darnold could be broken. And I also think that could be a situation. And so if you have that within your tool bag to use in trades, I would say I would try to sell the fact that, Darnold is busted. He was busted in the Jets. He's not going to be good. And you can use that to your advantage with the DJ Moore owner and say, look, he's even tanking DJ Moore, which is hard to do. And Mr. Miyagi saying tough to trust Darnold. Yeah, if we can prey on that mistrust, then that's a good opportunity for you to go ahead and buy DJ Moore at a lower cost. Johnny, it was really for me what you talked about there, that he is, 3rd overall in expected usage. And expected is something that's saying like, look, everything there volume wise, everything there metric wise is saying that he should be better, and that means usually that regresses to positive. And so if he's up there with Cooper Kupp and Tyreek Hill in expected usage, that's really, really good. So yeah, go out there and try and get him. I think I'm with you there. You've convinced me here. I want to talk to Whisper Nation about a sell high candidate right now. And I think this might be the perfect situation to do so. I've broken it down here with Michael Carter. And I think that Michael Carter's in a perfect spot to sell high because of 3 things, Johnny. He's got his environment that he plays in, his personal efficiency, and then really the schedule for the Jets that have been going down here. We look at the environment that Michael Carter has. He likely, I don't have to go into detail to tell you about the Jets, but I will anyways. They're 30th in total offense, 32nd in rushing yards, 32nd in rushing attempts, 22nd ranked offensive line. So we know the Jets are bad. That's not a good environment we want our running back in. We saw Carter also in this offense before Zach Wilson had gotten injured suffer the consequences. Zach Wilson is going to come back at some point, and they are going to have to go back to him because he is their 1st-round pick. So no matter what Mike White does, which is it's been really good for Carter, he's seen a massive uptick in targets. He saw, Johnny, 23 targets in the last 2 weeks to Michael Carter. So in PPR, people are screaming at me like, why would I trade him? I finally, my 0 RB truthers out there are like, why would I trade him? It finally hit for me. This is the perfect time to go get somebody else on a more consistent team, because I don't think Mike White stays their quarterback. And then and the other thing, Johnny, is Ty Johnson got targets too. And so it could swing
out of the
that
backfield
way to a situation where other backs are getting involved, even if even if RB targets go up for the Jets, there's other people there to take from him. So I just think his environment is one that makes him a nice sell high. His efficiency too. Carter's he's just averaging 3.8 yards per carry. Even with all the work he's starting to get, it's not very good because, again, bad offensive line, bad team, and teams know what they're going to do. So they stack up against him. He's ranked 35th, Johnny, in Pro Football Focus running back grade. 35th. News alert, there's 32 starting running backs. That's not good to be ranked 35th. His schedule, too, is the final reason I'm selling high. His next 2 weeks, he gets Indy and Buffalo. Those are fantastic run defenses. But then, even in the playoff time of year, the final 5 weeks of the season, 3 brutal matchups: New Orleans, Tampa Bay, and Buffalo. Not really liking that within my final 5 games. So for me, I think Carter's in a perfect spot. He popped last week. He won people their matchup. This is a good opportunity to go say, hey, look, if you want a running back, go to an RB needy team and sell him. And get yourself that upgrade at wide receiver or running back.
I don't mind that move. It will be interesting to see if they continue to kind of get him more and more involved. We did like him, coming out of college. He was a, gifted runner. Some touted that offensive line as to the reason why he was so good. But he is a very elusive running back. He's fun to watch. We'll see. Again, it's the Jets. But again, I like what you're saying in that if you can go and capitalize off of a player's mega bowl stay, because that's what it was, then you should. Will he continue to get some volume in that offense? I do think he will. But again, to your point, if you can go and acquire someone that's a better value or a more sure thing, especially talking about the schedule, big on schedules moving forward, I think that you should definitely try to do that.
Our boy, Mr. Miyagi, says, problem is everyone got work last week from the Jets. I think even Adam Gase got a reception last week. And Rushman adding, where is Adam Gase these days? Chasing flies? Yeah, it's not looking good. Thanks to Miyagi. Thanks to Rushman, Slim Reaper, everybody in the chat. Make sure if you're rocking with us on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe. And just for S's and G's, I'm going to throw up this subscribe button right now. Hit that thing, baby.
Dude, just under 2,100 subscribers.
Help us get there. All right, Johnny, it's your turn to give me a sell high, and I got to tell you, man, I feel like you're coming at me. You're attacking me to my core right now, picking on my guy Amari Cooper here.
It's more so I just knew that
you're trying to get a trade.
No. I just knew that Mr. Miyagi was going to come in here and ask if if they should try to trade for Amari Cooper, and I'm telling you, no. Try to trade him away right now. That's what you should be doing. And here's the reason why. It's not, again, I want to preface this. Right now, Amari Cooper is wide receiver 20 in PPR, wide receiver 18 in standard. Do you have to go trade him right now? No, you don't. If you like the production of Amari Cooper, don't go trade him.
You should like it if you like points.
Yeah, if you like points. I get it. But I'm just saying, again, I'm looking at the data and then what he's producing, and it's just not lining up as smoothly as we'd like, right? You look at what he's done since the start of this, like I just mentioned, wide receiver 20 and 18 in PPR and standard respectively. But during that time, he's only eclipsed 7 targets in a game 3 times this season. He's only had 2 games with over 80 receiving yards, 2 out of 7. That's not good. 5 receiving touchdowns in 7 games. There's the bingo. That's why his value is being so elevated. He is seeing a massive amount of touchdowns in each game, which is elevating his total production and his total output. With Michael Gallup coming back, you could see some targets get a little bit more dispersed. There's already, it's not like he's seeing a massive amount of targets. He's being hyper efficient with those. I do think with the emergence of CeeDee Lamb and him continuing to emerge with Gallup coming back, I do think now would be a nice time to try to, flip Amari Cooper for something else. If I could get Amari Cooper for DJ Moore, I think I would do that, because you're going from a crowded wide receiver group where he's barely getting 7 targets to something that you're going to see more like 10 targets, and he's going to be the focal point of that offense. That's all I'm saying. As far as Amari Cooper, though, will he continue to be good? They have a nice schedule coming up, so it's not like I can argue that he has a bad schedule to get rid of him for that reason. But, referring back to Mr. Miyagi's question, would I trade Deontay Johnson for Amari Cooper? I wouldn't right now, because Deontay Johnson is getting a consistent 10 targets per game, and he doesn't necessarily have to be really efficient with those targets in order to get you those fantasy points and that fantasy production, whereas Amari has to be highly efficient. And yes, that offense is effective. Again, that's why I'm not saying that you have to go and you must trade Amari Cooper. I'm just saying, if you would like to go and try to get some value for him, maybe get a piece and something, if you need to get through bye weeks and whatnot, I think right now is a good time to go and try to trade away Amari Cooper, just because everything that's going on there.
I could understand.
I think he finishes right around there. Like, that's where I have him.
I understand the DJ Moore one. That's a good one, because what you're trying to do is buy the dip on DJ Moore and get him right before he starts to explode and get the volume. And I agree. But Cooper reminds me a lot of like the Tampa Bay situation, where you have Godwin or Mike Evans or some of these guys, and when AB gets back into the fold, they're going to have these revolving doors at wide receiver. But you're never mad when you have Cooper in your lineup and he pops off for one of these games, because he plays for a very efficient offense. That's why I think I'm sticking put on him. Yes, he's not getting the targets, Johnny. You said that, only over 7 targets in 3 games. But check this out, Johnny. He's 11th in the wide receiver in the NFL, 11th in the NFL among wide receivers at red zone targets. So it's not really beyond the realm of possibility that the touchdown thing is part of his game, because when they get down there, Dak, Cooper Rush, these guys look for the big body, the tactician route runner who has more experience than CeeDee Lamb at getting, scoring touchdowns on fades and things like that. So I think that Cooper can actually sustain the touchdown volatility that we've talked about before, because of the he's top. If he can get in even more like into the top 10, remember they've already had their bye too. So he could even have more red zone targets. And then you talked about the schedule. I like the schedule coming up for them. The one thing I will say, he's had a couple of times where the hamstring's been a close call for him. So that could be something you could trade out of before it actually causes him to miss some time. So I wouldn't mind that. But Johnny, I want to move us on now to our cornerback wide receiver matchups as the part of the show that we close out with. Before we get to all your questions in the chat, just want to thank you all again for joining us here in the chat. As Rushman says, crush that like button.
Appreciate it.
But before we get into the chat and our faithful and Whisper Nation, Johnny, can you help me out and give me your plus matchup for your cornerback wide receiver, showdowns that we have for week 9?
Once again, Big Travie just coming in here, swooping my guy up. Actually, both the guys that Big Travie for both temperance expectations, and I was literally trying to type up my guys, and then Big Travie.
This is a lesson in early, dude. This is a lesson to get into your show notes, dude.
Yeah, dude. I gotta start like waking up at midnight.
I'm gonna have to contact Andrew Berry.
Andrew, exactly. Contacting Andrew Berry is what you are going to want to do after this plus matchup from Devonte Parker this weekend against Houston. Listen, I understand Houston is a bad team, but their defense has actually been a little bit more stout versus wide receivers. So that's why I want to make sure I hammer home Devonte Parker, who you probably picked up off of waivers this week, one of the bigger waiver wire ads, despite playing against Houston, who is a more stout against the wide receiver because they let up so many yards on the ground. I still want to mention that Devonte Parker is a good play this week because 9 or more targets in 3 out of 5 games, right? He's been dealing with an injury, but he came back last week, Travis, to play 90% of the snap share, which we do like. When you're coming off of an injury, it means that the coaching staff has a lot of confidence that you're not going to get re-injured or that you're past that injury. And we look to see, like I said, 9 targets is a healthy amount of targets coming from Tua. This is a game in which Miami should have to put up some points, and I like that combo with Devonte Parker. I think if you picked him up off waivers this week, he has a nice playable matchup to where you can play him this week. Throw him in there.
I like it. I like it. I want to talk about. Who
do you want to talk about?
I'm going to talk about Devonte Parker, baby.
Yeah. No, I talked about Devonte Parker.
Yeah, so who am I supposed to talk about? I'll talk about a temper expectation then, because I think this guy is somebody we need to talk about here, Johnny, as someone to stay away from, and that's Michael Pittman. Pittman has been bossing out right now, and Pittman's been coming off another monster performance, but he's going to be facing the Jets, and they've kind of got an underrated secondary, and it's going to be on this short week, Thursday night. So Michael Pittman Jr. will lock horns with Bryce Hall for the majority of his snaps. Hall is now allowing the lowest catch percentage of any Jets cornerback. He's holding opposing wide receivers to just a 58% catch percentage. So that's where I'm at with this one, Johnny. I think that there's a situation here. He also, check this out, Bryce Hall also only allowing 0.91 yards per route covered. Pittman is going to have a tough matchup. They're going to be able to focus on him. They know he's their the way they move the ball through the wide receiver. So I actually think Pittman would be a bench for me this week against the Jets. I think this is a big Jonathan Taylor run game. So yeah. I think that's
I do think this is going to be a big Jonathan Taylor run game. Which
so
makes
now
me concerned for Carson Wentz.
Yeah. So I think Carson Wentz. Yeah. Well, would you move off of Carson Wentz here? They haven't applied. It could be one of those things where they get down there, or it could be a screen pass. Like you could get bailed out, I think.
That's the thing is like Carson Wentz. I was looking at even some of his game script, and it's like in games like this, he still will get you like 2 touchdowns, but his yardage will be like 200. And so it's like, yeah, you got to hope. That's why it's like it could be a little bit of a trap game for Carson Wentz is what I'm a little concerned for on Thursday.
All right, Johnny, we've talked about a plus matchup. We've talked about a temper expectation. One more temper expectation matchup for Whisper Nation. Who do you got here?
This one is just, a quick and easy one. Cortland Sutton versus Dallas. Listen, Trayvon Diggs, Stephon Diggs' brother. We talked about him. He's really stepping and elevating up his game this year. He is shutting wide receivers down, kind of like we used to see a few years ago, with Sherman and Patrick Peterson. He is basically doing the same to wide receivers right now. Cortland Sutton should have the bulk of those matchups against Diggs. Just temper your expectations. You're probably still going to play him because there is there could be a reality that they do move Diggs as well to guard Jeudy at some points in this game because he's not a true shadow cover corner. But again, Cortland Sutton coming off of a slower day as well. Temper your expectations this weekend for Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, I agree completely here. And I think that is a reason why we've got Jerry Jeudy as someone to fire up and somebody to be confident in. Noah Fant out, Cortland Sutton getting Diggs, and I think they're going to need to throw in this game. I think Jerry Jeudy, he got through the other game, didn't get re-injured. I think this is an opportunity for Jerry Jeudy to be in kind of a smash spot, especially in PPR. So yeah, that would be my other plus matchup here would be Jerry Jeudy getting in there. Well, we hope this helped you. We hope the cornerback wide receiver matchups helped you. We hope the trade targets helped you. And we hope this news helped you, which, by the way, we have one more piece of news. Dak Prescott getting a full workload in practice. Looks like he's going to be back and ready to go for that game, which is what we kind of expected at the start of the week. But this is where we're at. All right, let's get to it, though. Whisper Nation, want to say thank you to all of you guys in the chat. Continue to get those questions, and we're going to rattle through them in the next few minutes while we have some time here. All right, let's see.
Appreciate you all.
Slim Reaper says, what do Johnny, Big Trav, and myself have in common? Autographed jerseys. Yeah, baby.
There you go.
Right, Darius, I believe that thing is in the mail for you. Heading your way.
Heading your way. Got a signed Damian Harris jersey, one from our Patreon. Again, if you want to.
Yeah, the jersey we're giving away this month, Joe Mixon. We're giving away a signed Joe Mixon jersey. So one of the RB1s, I believe he's RB8 on the year, RB9, something like that on the year. Rocking it right now, Joe Mixon is. And you can get that signed jersey. All you got to do is go to patreon.com/the Fantasy Whispers, subscribe at the $10 level, and you're going to get entered into a monthly raffle for a signed NFL jersey every month. But that's not it. We also do sports card giveaways. And Johnny, we just gave away a Marquise Brown signed rookie card. Or no, I'm sorry.
Not signed, but yeah.
A Marquise Brown Prism rookie card.
Yeah, there you go. Look at Big Travi getting in on the names. He's getting.
It's worth $160. And all you had to pay was $5 to sign up at the Patreon level. Once again, patreon.com/the Fantasy Whispers. Make sure you're signed up today. You love rocking with the show? You want to win some cool gear? You want to win some very high valuable gear? You want to help us live out our dream, and you want to get bonus fantasy football content? Get over to patreon.com/the Fantasy Whispers. Sign up today. Killjoy says, start 2 for flex. Jacoby Myers, Moss, Mitchell, Bateman. Well, we're getting Elijah Mitchell in our lineup as long as he's going to be healthy. Zach Moss, really? Yeah, I think so, especially against Jacksonville.
Yep.
Mr. Jacksonville says, yes, I made it.
A lot.
Yeah, they're talking about OBJ. If you're going to cut him, Why not just get something for him? Terry
Well,
Green
the problem was they were trying to get
with the
something,
Saints, but
but
they couldn't.
you have to do the contracts have to kind of match, right?
Yeah, and he's
Like, they
got a
have to
big one.
salary cap and all
He's
that.
got a massive one. So
Yeah.
but they might be on the hook for his money and
And
then just cut him this year. And
right.
he
Well,
could
and
go to-
the thing is, the Saints were already struggling coming into the season. That's why they had to let go of Latavius Murray, was because Latavius wouldn't restructure his contract to get it underneath the salary cap.
Mr. Miyagi says the man has lived off that one-handed catch for the Giants. And I just got to say, in some respects, yes, but he's also lived in Cleveland, Ohio for the last couple years, and that's not going to help you either.
And New York.
Terry Green says, my first YouTube shout out, boys. Thanks. Love the show. We love you. We
appreciate you, Terry.
Every time, brother.
Yeah.
Brandon Carmichael says, concerned with Gibson, Johnny. I'll let you take this one because we've been talking up Jarrett Patterson for about the last couple of weeks as somebody to go and stash.
Yeah, definitely concerned with Gibson. The big issue here is the injury that he's dealing with. The only way to get it better, truly get it better, is to not do anything on it. Like, literally, they tell you, sit down and don't move. Don't walk around on it. Don't do anything. And of course, you can't do that as a running back. So Gibson they've been, monitoring his or limiting his workload throughout the week, the practice, and then throwing him out there on game reps. And we're starting to see him get a little bit less of carries in games. According to sports doctors, it's basically been quoted as a ticking time bomb for Gibson as far as when he'll be going on IR. So I do have a lot of concern for Gibson, trying to get away from him if I have him, or if I don't want, if you're not going to get the value, make sure you have Patterson on your bench. Because it's looking like he'll be the guy that takes over for Gibson once Gibson goes on IR. If and when, but most likely.
Dumb or bold, asks Mr. Miyagi. I ended up with Freiermuth on the waiver. I have Hawkinson on bye. I think this is a great pickup. Should I have traded for Hunter Henry or Allen Robinson and dropped the Muth? No, stick with Freiermuth. This is a very low risk situation for you. You go in and play the Chicago Bears. Look, again, since Juju's been out of this lineup, Freiermuth's usage and targets have seen an uptick. So he's part of the same kind of skill position that they need. Guys for dink and dunk offense. That's what he does here. Deontay, Najee, and now Freiermuth are the guys that benefit the most from this offensive play style.
I don't mind this trade though. Like if you want to trade
Allen Robinson for Hunter Henry,
yeah,
but he has Hawkinson. What's the need to do that? But
but what's the need?
You could play Freiermuth
Allen Robinson.
Week. Well, you could just see what happens if he still wants to hold on to Allen. Why would you go trade for a tight end? See if you can't buy Hunter Renfrow.
I'll be honest with you. I almost had Hawkinson in my sell high category right now. Hawkinson, rest of the way, Detroit has the most difficult tight end schedule. You've also seen Hawkinson.
Doesn't matter when your volume's there.
I get, but his volume actually has been dipping a little bit over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, but it's still in comparison to other tight ends, it's still elite level use.
I know, but right. So you can Hunter Henry actually has been pretty solid of a tight end. So I'm saying if you
he's lived off touchdowns like that, he gets touchdowns. He's like a poor man's Bob Tunyon right now.
I'm just letting you know that if I don't mind this trade, your Allen Robinson, you can drop him, and so put him on somebody else's team.
Or you can still stash Allen Robinson and see if Justin Fields is turning the corner, and see if you can wait on that. You can do both of these things and run with Freiermuth, who is also a good pickup right now.
I'm not saying Freiermuth's not a good pickup. That's besides the point. I'm just saying if you want to make this deal. And you could probably get a lot for TJ Hawkinson right now. Hawkinson almost made this column. I'm just saying.
Mr. Miyagi talking about Darnold as we talked about his struggle says, tough to trust Darnold. I think I trust my dog more not to eat my pizza when I leave the room. Spoiler, he also ate the pizza.
Yeah, that sounds like my dog too.
Trade Deontay Johnson for Amari Cooper. We talked about that. If you can go and get Deontay Johnson, Johnny says to do that. I wouldn't actually do this deal for Cooper. I like Cooper, but it depends. I don't think you need to go for the upside that is, Amari Cooper, because you're getting so much volume with Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
Javiner 33 Full PPR, would you trade away D-Hop and Edmonds for Mixon? I am 8-0. I have CD, McLaurin, Kamara, Eckler. I would try to get a little bit more, but I don't mind this. Both Hopkins and Edmonds dinged up and not seeing the red zone usage we would have liked. Still getting market share. We still like him as a PPR running back. But D-Hop is really the sell high situation. And Mixon just getting so much volume right now. Hopkins, we know the hamstring could limit him. It kept him out of that game at parts against Green Bay. So I don't mind this deal.
I don't mind
Especially
it either.
with the rest of your lineup, CD, McLaurin as your wide receivers, and then you have Kamara and Eckler as your starting running backs. You get to add Mixon to that. That's a nice advantage.
Yeah. I'd try to get a little bit more, maybe a couple wob dollars or something on top of there.
Rushman was asking where is Gase these days. We mentioned that chasing flies, and Mr. Miyagi says giving life advice to OBJ.
Oh, dude, don't want to take that. Don't want to take that.
So Slim Reaper, aka Darius, aka Whisper Nation Strong, says Agnew, Herbert, Van Jefferson, Ayuk, Flex. Choose one PPR.
Going Herbert and one,
Khalil Herbert.
One. Yeah. Although if I had to go a second
Agnew.
one, I know.
Javelin, great video, says full PPR. Would you trade away D-Hop and we did this one.
Yeah, we
Sorry,
did this one.
Oh, he's on Twitch and YouTube. Thanks, brother.
Oh, appreciate that.
Slim Reaper says traded Amari Cooper and Herbert, Khalil, for Knox and Miles Sanders. God. Guy, damn, that's terrible. Guy released Herbert and I flipped Sanders for Eli. Okay, there we go. So for both trades are working out for net. That's good. You like it when both trades work out for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it more when it works out for me, but
right.
Eric Saldana, welcome in, brother. We appreciate you. He says, how do you guys feel about Keenan Allen? Better days ahead. Absolutely. People are sleeping on Keenan Allen right now. Look, Herbert and the Chargers have played two of the most experienced defensive coaches in the game, and Harbaugh and Belichick over the last 2 weeks, plus their bye. He's going to get more. He's going to continue to get targets. This offense will continue to adjust and be better.
Yeah, you got
Eric
some.
Just liked. Appreciate you, Eric.
Oh yeah, nice.
Sutton, McNichols, or Edmonds at the flex this week.
I'm going probably Edmonds.
I got to see if Edmonds is going to be healthy for this game.
Yeah.
He wasn't missing practice, so it sounds like he will be good to go.
Yeah.
Just want to put an SOS for my boy Jersey J. Haven't seen him all week. Someone shine the whisper signal over New Jersey.
It's funny. I was thinking about the same thing, dude. I was wondering where our boy Jersey J went.
All right, Johnny, throw us a new comment up there, brother.
Okay. Cooper and Gage for Justin Jefferson. I do this.
Yeah, Gage is kind of a non-factor, I think, right now. He didn't get any targets with Ridley out. I actually think Tajay Sharp might fit what they want to do better, plus Pitts and Patterson are in there. I think Cooper, if you can get Justin Jefferson for Cooper, I think I would do that deal,
Yeah. Not a crazy move, but should I drop Latavius Murray for Davis? 5 and 3 PPR, I would.
Yeah, I would do that. I think Davis might have a shot to get some more relevance, as Johnny pointed out, because of Ridley stepping away.
Yeah. Stay tuned to our matchup breakdown. Got some cool stuff for the Mike Davis stuff, but yeah, matchup breakdown on podcasts that just search Fantasy
and
Whispers.
Patreon. You get the full video if you, again, patreon.com/the Fantasy Whispers. Terry Green says, if I missed it already, I'm sorry, but what are your thoughts on Brian Edwards with Ruggs news? Johnny, I'll let you take this because Edwards is a guy you've liked. You and Gruden have told us that he's the next Terrell Owens. So why don't you make the case here for Brian Edwards with Ruggs out of the picture? Because I honestly I don't think that this offense changes very much. Ruggs was not getting a ton of targets. I think if anything, it goes to Renfro and Waller more, and they use Zay Jones as that Ruggs person, and Edwards is still kind of the odd man out here.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you'll probably see a slight uptick for Brian Edwards, get a few more targets here and there to where he could produce and make things happen. He's that talented wide receiver. But yeah, it's not like I'm saying I don't believe that this makes Brian Edwards elevate to where you'd be like, yeah, let's play him this week. But, what the heck stash on your bench if you have a spot isn't terrible. But I agree with what Travis is saying.
Brett Forseth says, I needed an RB2. I'm stacked at wide receiver. I traded Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins for Javonte Williams and Saquon Barkley. Oh, no, I'm sorry. All these guys.
Oh,
Kyler Murray, DeAndre
wow.
Hopkins, and Javonte Williams for Saquon Barkley. Am I officially insane? I'm in a league where people rarely trade. I mean, it really depends on who else you had at QB and wide receiver. You might be okay, though, because if you just did this deal, Kyler Murray and Hopkins actually could miss this week.
Yeah.
And then you'd see a situation where if Barkley misses this week, but it's back next week, like it's not that bad of a deal for you, depending on what else you had at quarterback. Like if Saquon comes back and is the CMC or Saquon like he's used to be, this is going to be a really good deal for you. Because we have Hopkins as a sell high, and Kyler Murray just has not been rushing as much. And I don't think coming back from injury, he's going to be in a hurry to rush more even too. Mr. Miyagi, I dropped Wentz. Taylor could go off on Thursday. Oh, he most assuredly probably
Taylor,
should.
Yeah. Taylor's going to have a big game on Thursday.
The Jets are. Remember, like a couple weeks ago when the Jets gave up five touchdowns to 3 different running backs for the Patriots? Yeah. That's nice. Yeah. Brett Forsyth says, I have Kamara, Josh Allen, and Stephon Diggs. I mean, I don't know how you have all these guys. You must be playing in a 4-man league, but yeah, that was a perfect deal to do for you. Even after this week, that's a great deal, Brett.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
Does Tannehill go off this week, Johnny?
We'll see if Julio ends up playing, and whether or not I trust Tannehill in my lineup, but he could. I just don't know how much I trust it.
Here's the thing. It's a good thing to actually ask this because I want to know how the philosophy changes in Tennessee without Derrick Henry. They're getting Peterson in, McNichols. We'll see what they end up doing. But this team is going to face some big adversity. I want to know if we're going to get, because their wide receivers haven't stayed healthy. Are we just going to get a ton of targets here for A.J. Brown, and that's how they're going to try and do it, which everywhere I have A.J. Brown shares, I'm really stoked because I think that he's got a situation where he can just eat right now.
I think he's the safest, right, of all these players.
Is Tannehill a person that's going to be able to overcome this? Are they going to be able to run the offense a little bit more dynamically and throw a lot more? It feels like this. Remember, they're in a first-time play caller. I don't even know the guy's name who's the offensive coordinator over there for Tennessee, but he replaced Arthur Smith. He's a first-time play caller. We don't know if he's going to be able to open up this offense. Slim Reaper says Mixon jersey #manifesting. Man, it worked for you last time.
Yeah, it worked last time.
Start Burrow or Carr PPR, and should I trade one of them? If you can trade Carr away, I would. I would still buy into Burrow right now, and the reason being, like, Burrow has been excellent. I'm just going to share with you a tweet I had last night. Was digging up for our matchup show for Joe Burrow, and I just wanted to let people know he's been absolutely dealing. So he failed to score 20 points in fantasy the first 3 weeks. But since then, the last 5 weeks, Johnny, he's been the QB3 in fantasy football. He's had 3 touchdowns in 4 of his last 6 games, and he's had at least 2 scores in every game this year. And what has reunited with Chase done for him, Johnny? He leads the NFL in 40-plus yard touchdowns and 50-plus yard touchdowns this year. He's absolutely dealing right now.
Yep.
Let's see.
OBJ point, Denver ate a lot of on salary to make that trade. Yeah, well, I would too.
Sometimes you got to do it.
A second and third round pick for it.
ML says 105.7 the fans. Jason Confora reports the Browns are not willing to waive Odell Beckham as the team attempts to reach a financial resolution with him.
What does that mean? Like,
so they
already have him on contract.
Well, they'll release
what financial.
They want him to take some of that contract. They want him to pay some of the, like, void some of the contract.
Oh yeah, okay, but they're not going to waive.
Which
him.
It'd be a smart move for OBJ. Like, if he can get out of there, he should do that. So I think that's what they want to do.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like, they're not going to just.
That's what they're discussing right now, because they're not going to just cut him, and he's not going to want to play for them. But he showed up to play, so I think and again, he played this the smart way. He didn't say anything. It was LeBron James and his dad. Like, OBJ said nothing. He stayed quiet. Eagle Fang said, with Henry out, I have to roll with Najee Harris, Melvin Gordon, Chuba Hubbard, and Tony Pollard. Should I trade AJ Brown for an RB1 rest of my wide receiver? Are OBJ, Myers, DJ Moore, Bateman, and Chenault? So no, I wouldn't do this deal unless you can go get one of the top 3. Like, if you can replace Henry because you traded AJ Brown to go get like CMC or you know what I mean, something like that. Like, okay, sure, but I don't think you're going to get that deal done. And you have decent running backs here. You have Najee Harris, like in a PPR league. That's great. Like that'll float you. Melvin Gordon's been scoring touchdowns, and you have Chuba and Pollard, which are high valuable. I try to go and maybe deal those to the Zeke or the CMC owner and see if you can get a deal going there for another running back.
Yeah.
Terry Green says, bro, I wanted and needed a bit more optimism on Bryan Edwards.
He's good.
He's good. Unfortunately, this offense isn't one. They have a lot of good weapons at each position. Like they're good at each position. And unfortunately, that means that they're going to spread the ball around, and they go to their guys like Renfro and Waller for more of the compiling. Mr. Miyagi says if he was it was going to accept the trade Eagle Fang if I didn't get Freiermuth. Yeah.
Oh, he's talking about that one earlier.
Mr. Curly Wolf says, thanks, boys. I hope I can enter fast enough to get that Mixon signed jersey. He might win me the season. Get in there, man. Yeah. You got the rest of this month to get in. So make sure you go ahead and get to patreon.com/the Fantasy Whispers. Brett says he was a 10-man league. That's why he had that stack team. No worries.
Nice. Hey, some people.
If I can trade Hawk, I'll send that A-Rob Henry trade back to you. Yeah, I mean, let's see what you get back for Hawk. I'm hesitant to want to trade Hawk right now. I would try to trade Allen Robinson for something else, another piece you could need, because it's a positional advantage most weeks for you. Chandler Brunelli says, should I pick up Mike Davis or Kenneth Gainwell? I have some optimism for Gainwell. Yeah, I think Gainwell's a hold, and I think if we're talking season-long more upside, I do think it's Kenneth Gainwell that has more upside here than Mike Davis, but it's a little bit risky. I would definitely think that you definitely take a situation of there.
Yeah.
Mr. Miyagi says, pay cut for OBJ. And he says, trade A.J. Brown for Swift, ? Would we do that? I don't think I could do that right now. Not with the Henry news, like so much volume could just continue to pour A.J. Brown's way. He could essentially be used as their running game now. Short, quick passes. They already do that to him a lot in the slot. Imagine running so many more of those because they're trying to move the ball. I think he just continues to dominate here, and he gets, and Julio's health is a concern, and I think that means, good things for A.J. Brown.
That one's close, though.
Would y'all do Amari and I think if I'm trading AJ Brown, I want like the guys I know can sustain it all year long. I'm not saying Swift can't. He should.
I mean, it's PPR. Like it's hard for him not to be a RB1. No, I know. I like AJ Brown as well, but it's if I can get a wider or running back one right now for a wide receiver.
Would y'all do Amari and Gage for Julio? Or Julio for Justin Jefferson? Amari and Gage or Julio? I would trade Gage before I traded Julio.
Yeah.
If you can do Julio and Gage, I don't think you can, but go get it done.
Yeah, I would definitely.
And Any other options for being out? With Rodgers being out, I have Tua, J Love, Tannehill. I like Tua this week going up against Houston. High implied team total. I think that's a good one to go. Remember, Tannehill going up against the Rams on Sunday night without Derrick Henry. It's kind of hard for me to trust him in that one.
Yep.
Rendon Dye says, any idea who you think the QB will be in New Orleans? I hope he'll start for fantasy. Stick with us. Yes. Subscribe to the channel. And by Thursday and Friday, we should know more about that. And then, of course, we'll know everything by Sunday morning when we go live an hour and a half before kickoff. But that does it for us, guys. For Johnny Game Time Hicks, I'm Big Travie. We're the Fantasy Whispers, and we'll see you tomorrow for the Thursday night football matchup preview show.
Take it easy, Whisper Nation. Peace.
Right here.
Congratulations on making it to the end of the video. If you still have a lot to say about fantasy football, maybe you want to give Johnny a little bit of crap for his take today, then go on over to our Discord channel and join the conversation there. Click the link in the description below. And if you still want more content, check out one of these videos.